Good afternoon, hoops and hockey fans. Big Al here on this Monday afternoon. It's February 27th, 2023, and it's about that time to take a look at the updated NBA and NHL standings and the playoff races in both leagues through February 26th. And before I do, I have to apologize for last week. I was tired and I totally forgot to make this video. And by the time I came around saying, oh man, I got to make that video, it was too late by then. So that's why you didn't get a standings check from last week. And again, I am sorry for that. But we will be having one today and on Mondays going forward. So, that being said, let's take a look at the NBA standings through February 26th, and we'll also look at the playoff races in this league, as well as the NHL coming up. So, starting off in the Atlantic Division, the Boston Celtics still hanging on to the NBA's best record at 44-17. They lead the Atlantic Division. Win percentage is .721. They have gone 8-2 in their last 10 ball games, including 3 straight wins. In second place are the Philadelphia 76ers at 39-20, win percentage of .661. They trailed the Celtics by 4 games. They're 7-3 in their last 10, including a loss in their most recent game. The Brooklyn Nets at 34-26 with a .567 win percentage. And the New York Knicks at 35-27 and a .565 win percentage are in a virtual tied for third in the Atlantic Division, both 9.5 games behind Boston. Brooklyn has gone cold. They are 3-7 in their last 10, including back-to-back losses, while the Knicks look like they're starting to heat up. They're 8-2 in their last 10, including 5 straight wins. Sitting in last place but getting very close to that 500 mark are the Toronto Raptors, 30-32, .484 win percentage. They're trailing Boston by 14.5 games. They're 7-3 in their last 10, including a loss in their most recent game. All right. The Central Division leading Milwaukee Bucks are just a half game behind Boston for the league's top record, as they sit at 43-17, which equals out to a win percentage of .717. 10-0 in their last 10 games, and they are blistering hot right now. Winners of 14 straight. And they have a pretty healthy lead in this division over the now second place Cleveland Cavaliers at 39-25. .609 win percentage. 7-3 in their last 10, including a win in their last game. Cleveland now trails Milwaukee by 6. Third place are the Chicago Bulls, 28-33, .459 win percentage. 15.5 games out behind the Bucks, 4-6 in their last 10, including back-to-back wins. Fourth place, the Indiana Pacers, 27-35, .435 win percentage. 17 games behind the Bucks, 3-7 record in their last 10, including a win in their last game. Last place, the Detroit Pistons, and they own the Eastern Conference's worst record, 15-46, .246 win percentage. They are 28.5 games behind the Bucks for first in the Central Division. Let's see, 61. They play 61 games. That means they have 21 left. They're pretty much out of the division title race at this point. Detroit is 2-8 in their last 10, including 4 straight losses. The Southeast Division continues to be led by the Miami Heat, 32-29, 525 win percentage, and they're starting to regress a little. 4-6 in their last 10 games, including 4 straight losses. The second place Atlanta Hawks taking advantage of that. They're 31-30. Win percentage is 508. They're only a single game out behind Miami in the division, 6-4 in their last 10, including back-to-back wins. Third place is the Washington Wizards, 28-32, 467 win percentage, 3.5 games out behind the Heat, 4-6 in their last 10, including back-to-back losses. The Orlando Magic sit in fourth place, 25-36, 410 win percentage. They trail Miami by 7 games, 5-5 over their last 10, including a loss in their most recent game. And in fifth place, the Charlotte Hornets, 19-43, 306 win percentage, 4-6 in their last 10, including 4 straight wins, and they trail the Heat by 13.5 games. We'll look at the playoff races after we go through the Western Conference standings. All right. So in the Southwest Division, the Memphis Grizzlies are still on top, 36-23, 610 win percentage, 5-5 in their last 10, including a victory in their most recent game. Second place are the Dallas Mavericks, 32-30. And a 516 win percentage. They trail Memphis by 5.5 games. They're 5-5 in their last 10 as well, including a loss in their most recent game. In third place, you have the New Orleans Pelicans, just below 500, with a 30-31 record. That's a 492 win percentage. They're 7 games out behind the Grizzlies. 4-6 in their last 10 games, including 3 straight losses. In fourth place, you have easily the coldest team in the NBA right now, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. 14-47, 230 win percentage, 23 games behind Memphis, 0-10 in their last 10 games, and 16 losses in a row. That's right, 16 losses in a row for Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. The last place Houston Rockets are not that better. They have the league's overall worst record, 13-47, 217 win percentage. They're 23.5 games behind the Grizzlies for first. 1-9 in their last 10, including 9 straight losses. All right, the Northwest Division continues to be a runaway. The Denver Nuggets have the best record in the West at 43-19, 694 win percentage, 7-3 in their last 10, including a win in their most recent game, which was, of course, yesterday. Then it's pretty much everyone else. Second place is the Utah Jazz, back at 500 with a 31-31 record, 5-5 in their last 10, and back-to-back wins, rather. So they jump into second place. They are 12 games behind the Nuggets. The third place team is 12.5 games out, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. 31-32, 492 win percentage. 4-6 in their last 10, including 3 straight losses. And again, they are 12.5 games behind the Denver Nuggets. In fourth place, 13 games out, are the Portland Trail Blazers. 29-31, 483 win percentage. 5-5 in their last 10, including a win in their most recent game. And they again are 13 games behind Denver. And back in last place are the Oklahoma City Thunder, 28-32, 467 win percentage. They are 14 games out behind Denver. 4-6 in their last 10, including 3 straight losses. All right, on we go to the Pacific Division, where the Sacramento Kings regain the throne for another week, 35-25, 583 win percentage, 6-4 in their last 10 ball games, including 3 straight wins. The Phoenix Suns are in second place at 33-29, 532 win percentage, 3 games behind Sacramento, 6-4 in their last 10, including a loss in their most recent game. Third place, the LA Clippers, 33-30, 524 win percentage, 5-5 record in their last 10, including back-to-back losses. They are 3.5 games behind the Kings. The defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors sit fourth at 31-30, which is a 508 win percentage. They are 4.5 games behind Sacramento, 5-5 in their last 10 games, including back-to-back wins. And the Los Angeles Lakers round out this division at 29-32, 475 win percentage. They are 6.5 games behind the Kings, 6-4 in their last 10, including 3 straight wins. Now let's update the playoff races in the NBA through February 26th. The top 6 in each conference make the playoffs, while 7 through 10 make the play-in tournament. And we'll start with the Eastern Conference. Boston still has that top seed at 44-17. But here come the hard-charging Milwaukee Bucks in that number 2 spot at 43-17. And again, with that 14-game winning streak. The Philadelphia 76ers are presently the number 3 seed at 39-20, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers at 39-25, good to slot at number 4. Number 5 is the Brooklyn Nets, 34-26. Number 6 is the New York Knicks at 35-27. Those would be the 6 teams that would make the playoffs. As for the 4 that would get into the play-in tournament, they would be the Miami Heat, the Southeast Division leader, at 32-29. They would be the number 7 seed at the present time. The Atlanta Hawks at 31-30 would seed 8th. 9th would be the Toronto Raptors at 30-32. And in that 10th and final spot, the Washington Wizards at 28-32. The 28-33 Chicago Bulls would only be a half game out of the play-in tournament through February 26th. The 12th place Indiana Pacers would be 2 games out, followed by the number 13 seeded Orlando Magic. They would be 3.5 games out. That's my alarm going off on my phone. Disregard it. Plus, my phone's acting up. All right, the Charlotte Hornets at 19-43. They would be 10 games out of the playoffs, and they have 20 games left. And then the Detroit Pistons at 15-46 and the worst record in the Eastern Conference. They would sit 13.5 games out the playoffs. And they have 21 games left on their schedule. Out west, the Denver Nuggets are the top seed at 43-19. Number 1 with a bullet, by the way. The Memphis Grizzlies are still second at 36-23. They are 5.5 behind Denver for that top spot. They are your current Southwest Division leaders. The current Pacific Division leaders, the Sacramento Kings, would be the number 3 seed at the present time at 35-25. Then you've got the Phoenix Suns at number 4 at 33-29. The LA Clippers at number 5 at 33-30. And the Dallas Mavericks in that number 6 spot at 32-30. So those 6 teams would clinch playoff spots. The following 4 teams would go to the play-in tournament. The defending champion Golden State Warriors currently sitting at number 7 spot at 31-30. Lurking right behind them are the 8th seeded Utah Jazz at 31-31. And then a virtual tie for the last 2 play-in spots are the Minnesota Timberwolves at 31-32 and the New Orleans Pelicans at 30-31, both at 492 win percentages. And again, both 4-6 in their last 10 games, and both teams with 3-game losing streaks. So again, be Golden State, Utah, Minnesota, and New Orleans getting into the play-in tournament in the Western Conference. Just outside the playoffs would be the Portland Trailblazers at 29-31, just a half game out. The Los Angeles Lakers at 29-32, a full game out. And then Oklahoma City at 28-32, they would be a game and a half out. While both the San Antonio Spurs and Houston Rockets are well out of the race at this point. San Antonio would be 16 games out, and they've got 21 games left, so they're on the verge of being eliminated from contention altogether, as are the Houston Rockets, who would be 16 and a half out with 22 games left to play. So those are the NBA standings. Here we go. Now we can take a look at the National Hockey League standings. Games played through February 26th. Starting off in the Eastern Conference, where the Boston Bruins continued their march towards 100 points, and they were getting very, very close. Through 58 games, the Bruins are 45-8-5 for 95 points, with 43 wins in regulation or overtime. Second place are the Toronto Maple Leafs. 60 games played, 37-15-8 for 82 points, 37 wins in regulation or overtime. Third place are the Tampa Bay Lightning. 59 games played, 37-18-4, 78 points, 35 wins in regulation or overtime. In sole possession of fourth place are the Buffalo Sabres. 58 games played, 31-23-4 for 66 points. 30 of their 31 wins coming in regulation or overtime. Then you have a points tie for fifth place with both the Detroit Red Wings and Florida Panthers. Detroit played 58 games. They're 28-22-8 with 26 wins in regulation or overtime. Florida played 61 games. They're 29-26-6 with 27 wins in regulation or overtime. Both the Red Wings and the Panthers sit with 64 points. Seventh place are the Ottawa Senators. 58 games played, 28-26-4 for 60 points, 26 wins in regulation or overtime. And settling into last place, the Montreal Canadiens. 59 games played, 25-30-4 for 54 points, 21 wins in regulation or overtime. The Carolina Hurricanes continue to lead the charge in the Metropolitan Division. 58 games played, 39, 11, and 8 for 86 points, 36 wins in regulation or overtime. Second place are the New Jersey Devils. 59 games played, 39, 15, and 5 for 83 points, 38 wins in regulation or overtime. The New York Rangers come in third. 60 games played, 34, 17, and 9 for 77 points, 31 wins in regulation or overtime. In fourth place are the New York Islanders. 63 games played, 31, 25, and 7 for 69 points. All 31 wins coming in regulation or overtime. In fifth place, you have the Pittsburgh Penguins. 59 games played, 29, 21, and 9, 67 points, 28 wins in regulation or overtime. Then you've got the sixth place Washington Capitals. 62 games played, 29, 27, and 6 for 64 points. And they also have 28 wins in regulation or overtime. The bottom two are pretty much long shots for making the playoffs at this rate. That includes the seventh place Philadelphia Flyers. 61 games played, 23, 28, and 10, 56 points, 22 wins in regulation or overtime. And sitting in last place with the worst record in the Eastern Conference, the Columbus Blue Jackets. 60 games played, 19, 35, and 6 for 44 points, and 18 wins in regulation or overtime. On to the Western Conference, where it's starting to get very, very crowded at the top of the Central Division. Now, we saw this with the Pacific Division, and we continue to see it there. Now we're seeing it in the Central. We're only a handful of points separate half the division. The Dallas Stars are still on top of the Central Division through 59 games. They're 31, 16, and 12 for 74 points, with 28 wins in regulation or overtime. The Minnesota Wild have climbed into second place. 60 games played, 33, 21, and 6, 72 points, 27 wins in regulation or overtime. And a points tie for third are the Colorado Avalanche, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and the Winnipeg Jets. Colorado played 57 games. They're 33, 19, and 5 with 29 wins in regulation or overtime. Winnipeg played 60 games. They're 35, 24, and 1 with 34 wins in regulation or overtime. Both teams have 71 points. Fifth place are the Nashville Predators. 57 games played, 29, 22, and 6, 64 points, 26 wins in regulation or overtime. Again, disregard my phone. Sixth place are the St. Louis Blues. 59 games played, 26, 28, and 5, 57 points, 23 wins in regulation or overtime. Seventh place are the Arizona Coyotes. 59 games played, 20 and 30 with 9 overtime ties. That's 49 points, 17 wins in regulation or overtime. And in last place in the Central, the Chicago Blackhawks. 58 games played, 21, 32, and 5 for 47 points, 19 wins in regulation or overtime. All right, so the top of the Central Division is crowded, as is the top of the Pacific Division, led by the Vegas Golden Knights. 59 games played, 35, 18, and 6, 76 points, 32 wins in regulation or overtime. Second place are the Los Angeles Kings. 61 games played, 33, 20, and 8, 74 points, 28 wins in regulation or overtime. Third place are the Edmonton Oilers. 60 games played, 32, 20, and 8 for 72 points, all 32 wins in regulation or overtime. Sliding to fourth place are the Seattle Kraken. 59 games played, 32, 21, and 6 for 70 points, all 32 wins in regulation or overtime. The Calgary Flames remain in fifth place, 60 games played, 27, 21, and 12, 66 points, 26 wins in regulation or overtime. In sixth place, you have the Vancouver Canucks. 59 games played, 23, 31, and 5, 51 points, 20 wins in regulation or overtime. Seventh place is the San Jose Sharks. 60 games played, 18, 30, and 12, 48 points, 17 wins in regulation or overtime. And sitting with the worst record points-wise in the Western Conference, the Anaheim Ducks. 60 games played, 19, 34, and 7, 45 points, and 16 wins in regulation or overtime. Okay, let's take a look at the playoff race in the NHL. All right. The top 3 teams in each division make the playoffs. And then there will be 2 wild card spots handed out in both conferences. If the playoffs began tonight, Boston with 95 points, tops in the NHL. Toronto with 82 points and Tampa Bay with 78 points would all get in as the top 3 teams in the Atlantic Division. The top 3 in the Metropolitan Division would be Carolina at 86 points, New Jersey at 83 points, and the New York Rangers at 77 points. The top 3 teams in the Central Division would be Dallas with 74 points, Minnesota with 72 points, and based on tiebreakers, Colorado with 71 points. And the top 3 in the Pacific would be Vegas with 76 points, the Los Angeles Kings with 74, and Edmonton with 72. They would be your top 3 in the Pacific. As far as the wild card races go, both the New York Islanders and Pittsburgh Penguins hold the 2 wild card spots in the Eastern Conference. New York has 69 points through 63 games. Pittsburgh has 67 points through 59 games. The Buffalo Sabres would sit a single point out. Detroit, Florida, and Washington would all sit 3 points out behind Pittsburgh. Ottawa would be 7 points out. Philadelphia, 11 points out. Montreal, 13 points out. And Columbus, 23 points out. Meanwhile, both the Winnipeg Jets and Seattle Kraken would hold the 2 wildcard spots in the Western Conference. Winnipeg with 71 points would be the top wildcard, while Seattle at 70 points would be the number 2 wildcard. Calgary would trail Seattle by 4 points. Nashville would be 6 points out. St. Louis, 13 points out. Vancouver, 19 points out. Arizona, 21 points out. And they have 23 games left. That's a lot of ground to make up. San Jose, 22 points out. Chicago 23 points out, and Anaheim 25 points out. And that is a look at the updated standings and playoff races in the NBA and in the NHL through February 26th. Now, my final 2022 standings for the NFL, plus the team and individual leaders, that video is also up, so feel free to go ahead and watch that as well. And we will be back next Monday with another check of the NBA and NHL standings and playoff races. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching, and keep pounding, folks. Just keep pounding. Peace out.